I have a brand new solution for the problem of creating multiple dependent drop-down lists in Excel. I guarantee this method is the easiest to understand out of all the strategies out there. If you have a table that has multiple levels of dependency, this is the tutorial for you. For example, if you have a category and a subcategory column, the options for the subcategory would be dependent on what the user selects in the category column. You could even have a third level or even more. Old strategies involve setting up a complicated table structure, building out a bunch of named ranges, and/or writing long, complicated formulas. Those strategies still work, but I think it's time for an upgrade. Hi, I'm Rebecca, and I teach Excel users how to create spreadsheets they can be proud of. If you use Excel in any capacity, you're in the right place. No matter what kind of spreadsheet you have, I'm sure it could use a little updating. That's why I created the Spreadsheet Tune-Up, a free training just for you. In 5 short videos, I'll teach you the first steps to optimize any spreadsheet. You may be wondering what even is a multiple dependent drop-down list. It just means that at each level, the options that are available are dependent on the previous level. So here, the first level we have is color and size. So if I choose size here, the options for level 2 are different from if I chose color. And the same thing for level 3. Because I chose red here, the options for level 3 are only red colors. And here for medium, the options for level 3 are only more details of that medium. And we could explore all of these options that they really are different, and it depends on what's in the first level and the second level. So that's what a multiple dependent drop-down list is. When I'm choosing a method to accomplish this, what I want is something that is very flexible, it's scalable so that I can do this independently for each row, and you could have as many levels as you wanted. So you could have 4 or 5, whatever suits your needs. So the first thing to do to actually accomplish this is to create an Excel table for the working data where you're going to be actually making these selections. So label each column and then use the keyboard shortcut Control-T to create an Excel table and say my table has headers. And I'm going to remove the filter button just because I like how that looks. And now this table is created. You can label it descriptive labels, but I'm just labeling it by the level number to be super, super clear. And as always, when you create an Excel table, the very first thing you should do is give it a meaningful name. So go up to the Table Design tab into the Properties group, and I'm going to name mine Working. The next thing that you need to do is create a copy of your working table, meaning it has the same column names, and this one has all the options that are possible. So you can see I have a group for color in level 1, a group for size, and then it just continues down with every possible option, and every possible option for every level, and they are linked in a way that would make sense. So we do have duplicates in level 1 and level 2. Basically, any level that's not the last level, there will be duplicates, but don't worry, we're going to take care of that later. Note that this is also an Excel table, and I have named it Options. That's really important to know. And in fact, I'm going to just write this here because we need to know what these table names are when we create our formulas. So now let's create the drop-down list for the first level. This is actually really easy. So first we select all of the cells and then go up to Data and find the button in the Data Tools group that says Data Validation. Now we will choose List, and then in the source we will type in equals I like to use the names of columns instead of using their cell references, like, A2 to B7 or something. So I'm going to do options and then open up the square brackets and type in level 1. That's the name of the column. Close the square brackets. We can't just leave it like this, unfortunately, because data validation, this source field has really specific rules. You cannot use structured references, which is what this is called, where we are using the name of the data instead of the address. So to get around that, we use a function called indirect. So type that first, open up parentheses, and then open quotes. And then at the end, close those quotes and close the parentheses and click OK. Now the drop-down list is everything that's in level 1. So to prove that, I'm going to add something else, like, how about texture? And now we can see that that has shown up in this drop-down list. Level 2 is where things start to get a little bit tricky, but don't worry, I'm going to walk you through this formula step by step. We're going to be using a dynamic array formula, which means that the results are going to spill across multiple cells, and I'm going to place them over here off to the side. You should be putting this helper column into the same row as your table. This is very important. So let's just start right off with the filter function. That will grab all of the options from level 2, and I'm just going to select this column, and you can see that it used the structured reference, which is great. I love seeing the names because it just makes things so much easier to read. Because what we're going to do, filter will grab specific rows based on some criteria. So array is, or the argument array is, what is it going to return? So we want to grab the options from level 2, but only when the selected level 1 is equal to, so I'm selecting that and then I typed in equals, the options for level 1. Do you see that? This is the criteria for which rows from level 2 we want to grab. And then I'm going to add a comma, and the last argument for filter is what to do if it's empty. I'm going to use 2 quotes, which just means return a blank. So you can see that this did exactly what we wanted. It only grabbed all of these rows for color. The problem is now that this is not unique, so we have 2 duplicates, and that it's spilling down when we're going to need to spill to the right. So we need to add 2 other functions around this filter. First, we'll do unique. And all that does is removes the duplicates. Now we only have red, blue, and yellow. And then further, we're going to add the function toRow, which just transposes this so that it's not in a column, but instead it's spilling out to the right. So now we can drag this down to every row in this table. So that's exactly what we wanted, because when level 1 is size, it's returning only these options. We'll take care of this 0 in just a second, but first I want to show you how we're going to create the drop-down list. So this cell is L3. That's important to know. We're going to select the data in level 2 in our working table, and then go back up to this data validation. We're going to do the same thing, list, and then in this source, we will select this first column, or this first cell, which was L3, and take away the $sign before the row number, because while we do want the column to remain fixed or absolute, we want the row number to change based on what row it's in. And then the last thing we need to do is add a $sign at the end. That tells Excel to grab everything in this spill range. So instead of just grabbing this red, it's going to take red, blue, and yellow. And the same thing all across. And it's very dynamic. So if this was across 5 or 6 columns, it would take all of that with just this single hashtag. That's part of the dynamic arrays. Okay, so now you can see this dropdown is created, and whatever is here, whatever is in this helper column is going to be in this dropdown. So the zeros we'll take care of in a second. Anyway, so you can see when I change size, the options in this helper row changed, and so the options that are available in level 2 also changes. Now to prove that this is dynamic, I'm going to add some more options down here with texture and see what happens to this level 2 helper. So here I added these options for level 2, and so you can see there's no longer a 0 here, And now these options are available in level 2. So I recommend highlighting the possible range where these level 2 helpers could spill to. So the maximum number of options for level 2 in my data is 3. So it's only these 3 columns that it could possibly spill over. It's not going to spill over into O or P. So I'm going to highlight these just any old color, and then I'm actually going to hide them, and along with these. So now let's get to work on level 3. And this code actually applies for level 3 and beyond. So we're going to start with the same functions that we have for level 2, which started with toRow, and then unique, and then filter. And what we're going to be returning is the level 3 options. But here's where things get different. I'm going to expand this box and go to a new row just to really spell this out clearly. Because we're not just matching based on level 2, we're going to be matching based on level 1 and level 2. So we're going to create 2 different criteria, and they both need to be yes. So this asterisk is it's like an and operator. So we're going to create 2 criteria, put them in these parentheses, and they both have to be true for the filter to return the options from level 3. So the first criteria is the same as for level 2, which is that level 1 in the working needs to match the options for level 1. And you can guess what the second criteria is. It's that the option or the working result for level 2, the selection needs to match, so I'm putting an equal sign, the options for level 2. So if you wanted to do more dependent lists, like if you had a level 4 or a level 5, if you had a level 4, you would just need to add another asterisk and then in parentheses do the same exact thing as this, but for level 3. And if you had a level 5, you would just add on another condition here. So now we're going to continue on with the same function as we had for level 2, which is if empty, we're going to return a blank, close that filter, close unique, and close toRow. And now we've returned all of the options based on what level 2 is. And I'm going to drag this down. And let's just change this and prove it. So you can see as I'm changing the size, the level 3 helper is also changing. Let me just show you when you change a level above, you have to go back and change like level 2 here. So now we're going to put this into the drop-down list for level 3. The same exact thing as level 2. We're going to select this, go to data validation, list, and we're going to select the first one, take away the $ from the row number, and add the hash or the £. So now we are done. We're done actually making the drop-down lists. And you can play around with this. It is dynamic, so if you added new results, everything would update. The only thing you need to be careful of is that you have enough rows here. So you could drag this down a bunch of rows, like the reasonable limit of what you think, how many rows you think your table could have, just in case that when you add new rows, everything would update. There we go. So now we're going to do the same thing here. The maximum number of options for level 3 is also 3. So I'm going to highlight those, and then I'm actually going to hide even the options. So it's just a really clean table. And if you were doing this for a company where multiple people are using this, you might want to put like a note or something somewhere like, do not mess with these hidden columns, so that nobody changes it. That's all there is to it. Keep in mind, dynamic arrays and functions are a newer feature in Excel, so they only work in Excel 2021, Excel Online, and Excel 365. Let me know in the comments what brought you to this video. Why do you need to create multiple dependent drop-down lists in Excel?